Joseph Murphy taught for decades that material wealth is not the result of chance, but determined by the dominant vibrational frequency that each person creates in their mind. When Murphy investigated families that went through continuous economic hindrances, he noticed a fascinating and disturbing pattern. These families carried, without realizing it, an energetic pattern of limitation that resurfaced through successive generations, like a defective recording playing incessantly the same frequency of lack. Murphy referred to this pattern as vibrational transmission. He recognized that each family possesses an emotional pattern linked to financial resources, an energy that is passed down through attitudes, implicit values and feelings regarding monetary limitations. This family resonance acts like invisible programming, determining not solely what amount a person can gather, but also their deep relationship with money. Murphy assimilated that various money-related hindrances that he identified did not originate in ineptitude or negative chance, but merely in the received pattern that a person assimilated since childhood. This epiphany profoundly modified the approach by which Murphy viewed financial change. Rather than instructing uniquely methods to earn money or financial application methods, Murphy turned to a deeper truth, reformulating the vibrational pattern regarding money that every being received from their ancestors. Murphy told impressive situations of individuals who succeeded to overcome this transmitted frequency by means of specific techniques of subconscious reprogramming. One of these stories focused on an executive known as Roberto, whose lineage faced a recurrent pattern of financial ruin that remained through generations. His male ancestor had lost all his fortune in a disastrous speculation. His direct ancestor had gone through failed ventures, and Roberto, albeit laboring in an obsessive way, saw himself reproducing the same destructive pattern. On every occasion that he was able to collect a significant sum of wealth, an event happened mysteriously, and the subject saw everything vanish. It was as if there was an invisible agency sabotaging his conscious endeavors. Murphy dedicated himself to training Roberto for months, showing him an essential truth that would be central in all his work. The subconscious psyche does not make a distinction between capital that belongs to you and money your lineage believes it deserves. If inside you there is the frequency that wealth is threatening, that growing financially is risky, that financial tranquility is deceptive or misleading. Thus your unconscious mind will work tirelessly to preserve you in this resonance once it seems to be the factual reality. The deep mind does not doubt. It merely executes the patterns that were programmed in your being through lived legacy. Roberto finally understood that he was not indolent or inept. He was molded, and psychic structures can be deconditioned. Murphy elucidated that when you alter the dominant vibrational pattern in your being, you modify the directive that you send to your hidden psyche. It is like reformatting a system that was running with obsolete software which is dysfunctional. If the code finds itself adjusted to welcome only a specific amount of capital, then it will constitute exactly what you will obtain, without considering how much you work. Murphy showed this principle through deep visualization techniques that he had established through years. He instructed his disciples to devote approximately 5 to 10 minutes daily in the morning, preferably right upon waking, when the mind is still in a permeable alpha state, imagining not just the arrival of resources in their lives, but fundamentally the inner perception of confidence, true faith and worthiness that is associated with this manifestation. Murphy insisted absolutely that this internal experience was the authentic key. It was not the fortune by itself that was relevant for the evolution. It formed the wave that the person managed in relation to money. With Roberto, Murphy started a process that he termed ancestral vibrational transmutation, a practice that he had refined through hundreds of successful cases. Roberto would have to, during 2 months, expend 15 minutes nightly before sleeping in deep meditation. In this state, Roberto should identify in a conscious way the complete financial history of his lineage. He should imagine his direct forebear going through the economic disaster, his parents struggling with failed businesses, and all this ancestral lineage who preceded him carrying like patterns. Then, psychically, Roberto should enunciate with authentic emotion, "I admit your history. I tribute with admiration the challenges you faced. I value the path you walked and the adversities you experienced. Nevertheless, now, in this precious instant, I let go of this vibration of restriction from my consciousness. I establish a new resonance for our lineage. From this moment on in my life, movement of wealth and monetary tranquility are the master frequencies that guides my choices and my world. Murphy observed meticulously that when Roberto did this with genuine sincerity, with true emotional feeling that involved his whole being, something extraordinary began to happen in the external world. Roberto's financial situations began to reorganize subtly, but surely. An opportunity that Roberto would have previously rejected out of fear or mistrust came to be seen under a new illuminated perspective. An old client returned with a substantial project. An unexpected scholarship for his daughter appeared at the exact moment when her education was a financial concern. None of this was coincidence, Murphy explained with conviction. It was simply the natural and inevitable consequence of an altered vibration. When you change your internal vibration, the entire universe needs to reorganize itself to correspond to this new frequency you have established. People, opportunities, resources, everything begins to align differently in your life. Murphy established a teaching that he referred to as Law of Vibrational Correspondence, a law that he had tested in hundreds of cases. This principle states simply that the external circumstances always mirrors precisely to the dominant inner world. If in your psyche prevails with genuine fear of scarcity, then the surrounding environment will show continuously moments that amplify this apprehension and confirm your limiting conviction. If in your interior you resonate deep certainty in your innate fullness, then the surrounding environment will manifest opportunities that expand and amplify this certainty. The most innovative point of this law is that it works without considering your current state or your antecedents. A person completely indebted who changes their vibrational pattern to plenty will commence over weeks to observe small changes that are perceptible. These changes tend to be subtle at the beginning, but are markers of a genuine transmutation. An unexpected cost is avoided inasmuch as you choose to avoid making a hasty acquisition. An opening appears because you found yourself in better mental disposition to talk with someone relevant. Your total organism begins to vibrate in a different frequency. Murphy had a special interest in the family aspect of this transformation because he had observed an extraordinary phenomenon repeatedly. When a person changes their vibration and manages to maintain this change for a sufficient period, the entire family dynamic begins to reorganize deeply. Children who were struggling financially begin to prosper unexpectedly. Parents who faced chronic difficulties find new solutions and paths. It is as if this person, by raising their own vibration, pulled the entire lineage to a new vibrational level. Murphy explained this as a principle of family resonance. When a musical instrument begins to vibrate at a specific frequency, all other nearby instruments naturally begin to vibrate at the same frequency, even without physical contact. Likewise, when you establish a vibration of prosperity within you, all those energetically linked to you naturally begin to enter into resonance with this elevated frequency you created. To create this alteration of frequency that was lasting and genuine, Murphy created a path structured in 3 stages that he viewed as absolutely essential for the victory. The first stage is what Murphy termed conscious ancestral recognition, and he stated that it was unfeasible to progress without realizing genuinely this initial phase. In this step, you must spend time truly recognizing the total economic journey of your family group. This does not imply holding responsible your forebears or pushing them away with negative frequency. It signifies merely seeing with total transparency what they endured, the intense pains that they endured, the patterns that they established as a system of resistance in moments of crisis. Murphy perceived that many individuals sought to disregard this uncomfortable narrative, tried to pretend there was nothing, and this prevented irreversibly the true transformation. It continues being totally impossible to free oneself from what you avoid consciously to recognize. Murphy oriented his apprentices to initiate this simple practice, which is transformative. At dusk, by preference at bedtime when the mind is more open, sit in silence, in absolute silence. Perform breaths consciously repeatedly, and on the mental plane contemplate deeply on your lineage. Imagine the figures of your predecessors. Accept the obstacles that they lived. Communicate on the mental plane with honesty, a declaration like, "I accept that you, my male ancestor, faced immeasurable losses that originated intense dread in your consciousness. I welcome that you, the one who begot me, established survival strategies that were shared forward through generations." Murphy explained that this recognition is deeply healing on a spiritual and psychological level. By recognizing the story, you take this story out of the unconscious, where it operates silently controlling your actions, and bring it to the full light of consciousness. In this clear light, it loses the power to control you automatically. It ceases to be something that controls you like a puppet, and becomes something you see with absolute clarity, and can choose to transform. Murphy used to say with emphasis that nothing that remains unconscious can be truly transformed. Everything that is brought to consciousness can be worked on, can be dissolved, can be rewritten in a completely different way. This first stage should be practiced for at least 2 weeks every day with genuine emotion and complete attention. The second stage of Murphy's method is what he called declared vibrational disconnection, and he was absolutely clear about its critical importance. In this stage, after consciously recognizing the ancestral story, you must declare with authority that this vibration of limitation will no longer be the dominant force of your life. Murphy was not in favor of a vague or intellectual approach in this stage. He demanded genuine emotion, clear intention, and deep commitment, not just to the words but to real transformation. After recognition, still in your moment of silence at night, Murphy instructed his clients to place their hand over their heart and say with unshakable emotional firmness, "I completely release the vibration of scarcity that was inherited through generations. I unlink my conscious mind from every pattern of financial limitation that belonged to my ancestors. I allow my soul to be the genuine and true origin of my prosperity and abundance. From this moment, the dominant vibration I establish and maintain is that of conscious abundance, genuine confidence, and unlimited flow." Murphy instructed that this affirmation works because it establishes a new power in your interior. You are not rejecting your lineage or your history. You stay just realizing your sacred right as a conscious being who is independent to choose a distinct pattern. Murphy had observed multiple cases proven where this affirmation, when realized with true emotional sincerity, created a vibrational rupture so potent and deep that visible modifications began in a few days. He kept recorded situations where people described intense dreams and extraordinary dreams moments after the proclamation, dreams during which their ancestors gave the impression of to validate this alteration with silent approval and vibrational acquiescence. Notwithstanding, Murphy presented himself as a scientific man who was meticulous in his general method. He recognized that there prevailed events that went beyond merely material understanding and rational logic. The third stage is the one Murphy considered absolutely the heart and soul of the entire vibrational transformation. He called it continuous vibrational re-establishment, and it was in this stage that the real work of rewriting your financial reality happened. In this stage, you not only dissolve the old problematic vibration, but actively establish a new vibration that becomes your dominant pattern. Murphy was extremely specific and precise about how to do this to achieve real results. After the declaration of disconnection, still in their deep and receptive meditative state, Murphy instructed his clients to visualize a field of golden, luminous, and living energy completely enveloping their heart, radiating to their entire body. This field is not vague or abstract. It is real, intensely felt in the body, palpable like a transforming physical presence. Murphy frequently asked his clients to describe in precise detail how this golden field felt in their physical body. Some described gentle and comforting heat. Others described deep and enveloping safety. Still others described an extraordinary sensation of expansion and freedom. While he preserved this vivid visualization and lived, Murphy directed with determination, "Say mentally with genuine conviction, my preponderant frequency now is abundant consciousness. My bodily structure resonates completely with monetary solidity. My hidden psyche finds itself totally reformatted to receive with generosity, to deserve fully and to retain perpetually fullness. My aura is aligned entirely with possibility, infinite movement and endless development. The want that was bequeathed extinguished itself entirely permanently. The abundance that forms my original divine heritage installs itself now as the definitive condition of my living. Murphy stated unequivocally that these declarations must be uttered not mechanically by habit or externally, but with authentic, intense emotion, with truth that springs from the chest, as if you vibrated, declaring the most essential teaching and primordial of your complete life. Murphy observed that this third stage is exactly where most people faced significant difficulties in the process. They managed to do the first two stages with some success, but in the third stage, the rational mind began to doubt and question. How can I say I am prosperous if I have significant debts? How can I say my vibration is abundance if my bank account tells another story of limitation? How can I declare what only my current reality denies? Murphy had a clear and transformative answer for this. He explained that the rational mind does not govern true reality. Vibration governs reality. The rational mind is merely a tool that describes retroactively what vibration has already created. If you want to change what the rational mind describes, you must first change the vibration at the root. Murphy used a potent and transformative metaphor. He said that vibration is like the root of a tree, and visible financial results are like the branches, leaves, and flowers. If you only look at the visible branches and try to change the tree by pruning the branches, you will never achieve real or lasting change. But if you change the fundamental root, the whole tree changes inevitably. Murphy oriented that this final phase be practiced daily, without interruptions, for a term of 40 days consecutive. He had selected this interval of 40 days since he had noticed in numerous cases that it was exactly the necessary time for a new vibrational pattern to install itself definitively as the prevailing pattern in the deep field of the unconscious. The beginning of 14 days concern establishment and fixation of the new frequency. The new frequency still presents itself as tenuous and transitory. It still fights powerfully with the old frequencies that try to persist. During days 15 until 28, something deeply modifies and emancipates itself. The new vibration commences gradually to gain authentic vigor, to feel more legitimate and legitimate, more essential to your deep essence. In days 29 to 40, the renewed energy at last consolidates itself as the dominant pattern that governs your choices. After 40 days of permanent realization and sincere effort, Murphy verified that his disciples told an emotional transformation so radical that it was observable even to those outside. The fear that paralyzes about money decreased dramatically until vanishing completely. The remorse of evolving economically and accepting dissolved itself integrally. A confidence which was quiet, radical, and unbreakable in the economic destiny began to emerge naturally from within. Murphy had a particular and very effective method to help his clients maintain absolute consistency during these critical 40 days. He recommended they keep a simple and honest journal. Each night, after completing the full ritual of the 3 stages, they should briefly note what they felt and observed, not for heavy intellectual analysis, but simply to deepen the experience and root it. Murphy observed that when people recorded their experience in words, the practice became more concrete, more real, more irrefutable. He also recommended that during these 40 days of transformation, people be particularly attentive to the small signs of change that appeared. A small but significant opportunity that arose unexpectedly, an unexpected expense that was providentially avoided, a casual conversation with someone that led to an interesting and unexpected possibility. Murphy taught that vibrational change does not typically begin with spectacular and dramatic results. It begins always with small synchronicities indicating that vibration is genuinely changing at the deepest level. Murphy underlined an essential component that various ignored completely in their execution. During these 40 days of disciplined realization, the tangible behaviors equally possess fundamental weight. The vibration institutes the adequate soil. Nevertheless, you still necessitate to develop the determination to take action. If a chance surges on your course, you need to develop the courage to investigate it authentically. If an inspiration emerges about how to increase your income or to diversify your earnings, You necessitate to be willing in putting it into practice with decision. Murphy referred to this as aligned action, and it was completely essential. It is the movement that sprouts organically once your resonance has transformed to fullness. This attitude remains being deeply different from the desperate action founded in anxiety. It is conduct that is resolute, crystal clear, natural, and accurate. Murphy observed that as his disciples kept the adequate vibrational pattern and performed regularly in tune with this frequency, the doors flowered in manners that prior presented themselves absolutely impossible or practically miraculous. The path that Murphy presented was essentially a path of true emancipation and deep. It did not represent escapism from real challenges. It signified embracing the tangible reality that you remained programmed by ancestral inherited vibration and deciding consciously and with strength to change this vibration completely. It characterized itself as admitting that you possess extraordinary power not only to change your own existence, but to transform the entire path and future of all your lineage. This knowledge represents authentic power in its deepest sense, not the potency uniquely to conquer or to triumph over adversaries. However, the real power to transmute, to transform vibration, to go beyond old limitations. This knowledge, Murphy instructed with absolute certainty, constitutes the genuine liberation which is monetary and sacred that every conscious creature pursues.